Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be using something real cool. I'm actually going to be making a DS macro. This is going to be a cover that I bought from Pixel, which I'll link down in the comment section below. And I'm going to be modding this DS Lite in order to create this Game Boy macro. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get started on this. So I bought this screen front from Pixel, which is a company that does aluminum machining for modifications for certain consoles. They do Switch ones and they do these DS macros, which is where I have received this. Actually, it's machined aluminum, so like really looks nice. I got this in this like teal turquoise color, which looked really cool. It does come with some screws. And then this is going to be the DS Lite that I'm going to be modding. So this DS Lite was actually perfect for this mod. I did buy this, I think it was like $15 on eBay. It was sold as is. You can kind of see here what's wrong with it. So the hinge is broken, and then also when you turn it on, you can see the screen is pretty messed up as well. This top screen has been hit and hurt, but the bottom screen still works. So that's why this is the perfect candidate in order to do this mod. I do have Game Boy Advance game, so it does read Game Boy Advance. So I was happy on that. Was sold as is, but actually still read Game Boy Advance games. So I go down to Start Game Boy Advance. So it still runs, and I already have it set for the bottom screen. So that is the reason I'm going to be doing this mod. So let's go ahead. We're going to shut this off. Oh, what I also wanted to mention too is there are ways to actually 3D print this front housing. So this is the metal one that is machined. You can 3D print them. I 3D printed this one in a natural filament, so it's kind of like white, kind of clear. But this is what I was going to use as well for another one of these mods. But this is probably going to be for a future video or if I get around to it. But this is better and it looks a lot neater. So this is what I'm going to be doing in this video. So first we got to go ahead, we're going to take apart this DS. Let's go ahead and pull the stylus out. We'll need to, iFixit toolkit like always. And we're going to need to take out all of these screws. So we're first going to remove this, which is a Phillips, over the battery cover. There's that off. Go ahead, we're going to take this battery out. So the battery should have this little tab. Pull the battery out. And then the rest of these are going to be Y-wing or tri-wing screws along with Phillips. So we're going to go ahead and take these ones out. One in this corner that's Y or tri. So let's go ahead and switch to the tri-wing. I do believe there are ones that are hidden underneath here as well. So underneath these 2 feet should also be a set of screws. I'm going to need to make sure I replace these feet when I finish. Let's go ahead and take both those out, and those are both Phillips. Right, so once I have that all opened, I should be able to just pull this bottom part off. Alright, and then that is going to be the bottom off of that. That's what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to take off these connectors and be able to take this board off. So there is one more Phillips screw located right here that we are going to take out as well. And I did accidentally just take this off, so I'm going to have to put this back on, which is one of the triggers. Just be able to lift this out too. There is a little, let's see if I can get a close-up on that. So there is a little connector right here that is for the digitizer, so we're going to need to unplug that. You can unplug this along with the antenna cord from the module that's right here, the Wi-Fi module, which is also the BIOS. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and remove that antenna. And both antenna, there actually are two. There's a white one right here as well. And then we're going to go ahead and take this off, which sometimes is stuck down through the back part of it. With a little bit of adhesive. So just take the adhesive off right there. And then if we lift this little lever here, we can pull out that digitizer. The front LCD. Okay. Now we should be able to just lift this board out without these antennas. Take this other one off too. And then the screen sometimes won't come out with it. It's stuck to it, so we'll just do that. Go ahead and unplug, unhook. There's a little black tab here for the top screen. Go ahead and we will open that tab and the screen should come out. Just like that. And then we're going to wire out these antenna. See, it went from here. So go ahead and we'll just do that and pull that out from there. Right, so this is going to be the front of the DS. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unhook the little black tab and actually pull this bottom screen off. And now we are left with the front. Let me go ahead and take these buttons off. So we are left with just the front. So along with the kit that I got for the Boxy Pixel front, I did also get the DS Macro front lens. So this actually says Game Boy Macro on it, sorry, on it. So this is going to be what mounts to the front of the screen. I also got Nintendo Switch speakers, which is going to be used for this mod. And I also got this, which is actually an amp for the Game Boy, along with the little chip that you need, the little resistor, all in one. So normally you would use a resistor that is like this, so they're super small, and you would normally put that somewhere around here on the board so that it thinks that the top screen is still there. But this mod here is actually the entire thing in one, and this actually will just mount to the board. Let's see, orientation R1, R2, R4 should mount like this. So, show you. So the way this mod works is by lining up to all these points that is going to need to be soldered down to. So those 2 points there, that point there, and then all 4 of these here. That is where the speaker is going to be soldered to. And we're going to be cutting off this connector here with a pair of flush cutters. So that's going to be probably the next point. But we're also going to be soldering down this to all these points, and that is pretty much it as far as this one's concerned. So let's go ahead and cut this off and then solder these down. All right, so we're going to go ahead and turn on my soldering iron here. Going to go ahead and turn that on. All right, so now that the soldering iron is on, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to move this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this connector off. So the way they showed is just cutting the plastic connector off itself, just cutting it straight across. So this does feel wrong, as I am cutting apart the DS's top screen, which doesn't feel right. But it is needed for the speaker to go here with this mod. So I want to make sure we don't get that resistor that's right there. Right. So I went ahead, cut that off. So you can see it here. It is all cut off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run some solder here to make sure I didn't bridge any of these connections. Let me go ahead and just run a soldering iron over these. Just make sure there was no residuals, and there isn't, so we are good. See the little pieces there that came off when I cut it. So go ahead and we'll just brush that off. Alright, so that part is now complete. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this mod. This is actually mod was made by Helder. I will actually have that in the link description below as well. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to line this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up with these two here in the middle. This is the first two that I'm going to be hitting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little bit of flux. Put that on to these connectors. Not very much, just a little bit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the soldering iron. I usually just tin the end of it with the solder. And then I'm just going to make sure that these are lined up. I'm just going to got one on there. So we go ahead and get this other one as well. And then we'll get this third one. So what I could do, so I could just do this. I need to find my smaller soldering solder. It's too big of a ball there. I'm going to take some of that off. Go ahead and we will finish these. Alright, now that all those are done, we're going to go ahead and we will just fill in these ones real quick. Alright. Now that should be all of those in. These ones look a lot better. For some reason, these didn't come out too well. Maybe I should have just hit it with the solder. So let me try to see if I can fix that a little bit. There's that one looking a little better. Some of that extra solder I had on there off. All right. All right, so now that I have all of these soldered down, I do like how all these came out nice, but these two didn't. So I'm probably gonna desolder these and redo them. I need to solder down the speaker. So I got these speakers here. We got your red and your black. The red is going to go into positive on the left, and the negative will go to the one on the right. So let's go ahead and put those on. Right. Taking out one of these switch speakers. Let's go ahead. We're going to be cutting this connector off of the edge. And then we have to strip these wires. Not too much though. These wires are very small. Alright, now that I have both of those cut and exposed, I'm going to go ahead and hit these pads with solder as well. And maybe I should have just hit these with this instead. There we go. Now those look a lot better. Alright. So then I'm going to be doing positive to positive and negative to negative. So red's going to go to the one on the left, which is the positive. Alright. Now the speaker is now on there. So the way this works is we're going to take the front of this shell. We're going to transfer the buttons from the original shell. So let me go ahead and do that. So on this shell, it doesn't actually use the other two buttons. They're just covered up. So we're not going to be transferring those two buttons over. So we'll go ahead and stick all these on. So that is going to be the front part of this complete. So what else we need to do is we need to transfer over the triggers. So I still kept the middle piece on this one along with the spring. So this one, it should be the left side. So this is going to be the one that goes over here. So when you put this in, you're going to want to make sure you pull this spring around so that it sits inside of here. Same with this one. So what you got to do on these is you got to make sure that this, and the spring are orientated correctly, which should be like this, so that it can fit through this little tab that's right here so that the trigger can actuate since we took it out of the old shell. So I'm going to repeat that with this one on this side. So once I get that back through there. place that back in here. We shall bring the trigger around. So it is like that. All right, that is going to be all of them. And then those might pop back out. Hopefully not. And then what we're going to need to do on this is we're going to take the original screen, and we do have to take the digitizer off. So that means we're going to have to take off the piece that makes it the touch screen. So easiest way to do it, since we're not really going to be using the digitizer anymore, is to put a blade in between the digitizer, which is this part right here in front of this glass. Right under top this metal piece, right below this like piece of glass is right here, and you're going to kind of wedge something in between these to lift them up. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. Let's just see how easy this one will be. So you can see here my knife is starting to go through. So that means I am cutting this part off. Then you should just be able to lift them away from each other without having to cut the whole thing. We do not want to destroy the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this. I'm going to do it along the bottom, actually. Try to make sure I am slow with this. Do not want to cut myself with it. So basically you're cutting the adhesive of the digitizer away from the rest of the screen. Alright, and then once I get one side off, you should be able to just lift up and take the other side off. That's how you take the digitizer off. What I'm going to do on this one is I'm actually going to clean up some of this old residue that's here using a towel and some isopropyl alcohol. I want to press too hard, but you want to get some of the adhesive that's on here off, as the new screen has to adhere to it. Alright, that is going to be it off there. And what you can do is put this back on the front. So we're going to go ahead and rehook it back in here. Go ahead and relatch that back in. Oops, I did forget what I'm actually going to do first. Before I do that, is I need to actually put some Kapton tape on these. Go ahead and get my roll. So I'm going to be doing a couple of different pieces of this. So one, I'm going to be putting over the connector that I cut off. Should be right here. Along with putting it over this amplifier. So we go ahead and put some above that. Make sure none of this shorts out the screen or anything else. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then go ahead and put the screen on. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the front. Go ahead and make sure all these buttons are lined up. flip this over. The switch speaker is actually going to go up into the corner. Just like that. While this whole bit should go straight in here. Let's go ahead and pull those both out. Go ahead and put that speaker back up in there, and then go ahead and stick this on. We do have to put this screen in. So it should just fall right into place, which it just did like that. Let's take these screws that came with it. These screws look pretty much the same. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to screw one into here. Make sure that's all down. All right. So now that I'm to that point, put these triggers back on now. Alright, now that I have both triggers back on, I will need to re-put on the BIOS/Wi-Fi chip. We aren't going to need the antennas as the it's not going to be using that function anymore, so it just needs this in order to boot. Without that, it wouldn't boot. So now that I have that complete, we're going to need the original bottom. So we're going to take this bottom here. This one was pretty clean, so I don't really have to do too much to it. A little bit dirty there, but I'll probably fix that later. Go ahead and we will stick this down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the battery back in. We're going to go ahead and turn this on. Did you hear the sound is working? Touchscreen obviously won't work because of the fact that we took the digitizer off, but you can see here that the buttons are working. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this thing up. So I'm going to go back through and I'm going to use some alcohol to clean up the flux that I used on the flex cable. And I am going to just go ahead and put in all the screws. So let me go ahead and continue that. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put all these screws in to assemble this back together all the way. Right, now that we have that assembled, I'm going to go ahead and put this battery fully back in. Go ahead and put this battery cover on. Screw this in. Alright, and then that is going to be it pretty much complete. The last thing we do have to do, clean this screen off. We're going to be putting this glass lens in here, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, now we're going to peel this off. Peel off the 3M adhesive on the back, which is going to be sticking down to the metal that's exposed on here. And the reason I want to do this after is so that I make sure that this is even with the screen, so that I'm not putting it on and it's not going to be even. So go ahead and peel this off a little bit. We're going to go ahead and stick this down in the front and in the back, and then we're just going to push down. Peel it off. Alright, and then that is going to be the glass lens on there. So this is now a complete system. So let's go ahead and we're going to turn this on. See the little green light up here. Hear how loud that is now. Go ahead and turn that down. We're going to go ahead and go through the setup. All right, so now that's complete. We're gonna go ahead. Let's go ahead and take a Game Boy Advance game. I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in here. So we'll go ahead and stick that right in the bottom. And turn this on. Now that I have it complete. Okay, I'm gonna go down to Start GBA Game. So with the mod that's on here, with that cable, it also is an amp. So this thing is barely turned up, and this thing is super loud. You get really, really loud. And that is going to be it working there. It is real hard to get it real low, though. But that is going to be working there. I do like how this lens actually makes it so that it covers up most of the DS stuff, so it actually looks like a Game Boy screen without seeing all of the extra screen. I do love the build quality of this, being that it's a aluminum frame instead of just the plastic one that I do have. I could have done it with this instead. They actually have one of these without the 2 buttons, so it'd be very similar to this. And this is very similar to how this one would look. So this could also work as well, but I did buy this, and I do really like how this one looks. So let's go ahead and we're going to play some Sonic Advance here. You can see here all the buttons are working. I'll go and pause. Select's not used in this game. But you can see that is how all these games play. So you can actually see how well this is. It actually feels real nice. I do actually like that I can grip around the unit. And this metal finish is so nice. But I could also put a flash card in here if I wanted to play some Game Boy Advance games through the DS emulator, or play any games that use the bottom screen in the DS. Actually, there is a mod for this that actually allows you to swap screens, which I did want to do in a video, but you can't use this Boxy Pixel front panel for it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching my video. If you guys like the video, please like the video. If you guys have any comments for anything in the future videos, please go ahead and leave that in the comment section down below. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. That'll help me out a lot. Thank you guys. Peace.